come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk, Bobcat, Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network, where I am broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California. You got a belly up to the bar, we've kept your seat, and it's great to see you back. Dink is going to be your bartender tonight. He pours with the best of them. The lava lamp is, in fact, lighted to my left, your right, right there, which means that you can listen and chat at shrmedia.com. Jump into the chat room with both feet, or if you're a monopod, that's okay. We got nothing against monopodia. Jump into the chat room. We already have Simone in chat, so welcome to Simone. And the lava lamp, oh that's right, you can watch the show on the SHR Media Facebook page live right now, or the SHR Media YouTube channel live right now. Gotta tell you this, we don't water our drinks, just like we don't water our conversation. Politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all right here at the Saloon. Nothing is sacred. The speech is free, but the booze is not. All that we ask is that you flush the toilet, jiggle the handle, don't forget to tip your waitress. There we go. Much better. Now that the headphones are up a little bit. You may or may not know that BZ is damn near deaf in his left ear. And otherwise damn near deaf in the other ear. So I keep my headphones at amazing volumes, which would mortal men and women cower at the volume that's churning through my headphones right now. And the reason for that is because a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, BZ used to be in radio, terrestrial radio in the 1970s. And what did you do when you were in terrestrial radio? Well, first, I didn't start in talk radio. I started in music radio. So when you got your JBL L100s, studio monitors up there near the ceiling of the radio station, which plays music in the 70s, which is loud rock music, and you're wearing headphones when you're a young kid, because what goes better in radio than loud rock music? I know, going to live concerts and listening to the bands themselves and standing right in front of the very stacks of amplifiers and speakers and enjoying the hell out of great, great bands. And then, of course, when I became range master for a sheriff's department, let's say, I was in charge of all things that go bang, bing, and boom for the department. And always when you're in patrol, by the way, my window was always down so I could hear things unless the rain was coming in absolutely horizontal. And only then was my window up. So after all those years, yeah, I'm a little challenged, shall we say. I've got some great things for tonight. And, you know, when I do this stuff, I have to be very careful because when compiling a show, I have it in my mind how things are going to go, in what order, so to speak. And I set everything up at home, and then I drive the half hour to the studio or so. And then invariably at the last hour, or sometimes when I'm in the car driving to the studio, I'll hear various stories and I'll become inspired and things change. Well, tonight I was going to do what I wanted to do last night on the Shat Show, the Sackheads Against Tyranny show. And that was play the entire President Trump State of the Union speech, which is about, I think that thing is about an hour and a half, I think, right around in there. Hey, welcome to Mary Brockman. Good to see you. Welcome to the Alaskan. Always good to see you. And so I thought, okay, this is what I'll do. And coming here and about a half hour before the show, I realized, no, things are, I'm going to have to change things up because some other things are happening. And then I became aware of a couple of very serious news stories. I'm going to get to the State of the Union, but up front, I'm going to do some happy stories because people seem to think that they enjoy that. And people write to me and they say, BZ, let's have some more happy stories because what plays better than a good happy story because a lot of the depressing stuff that's going on. But again, I say, take everything in stride. Take everything in stride. When you think that things are going poorly, you begin to realize, you know what? There really is a lot of good news out there, and that's my job to bring it to you. The other thing that changed about the show tonight is with the onslaught of stupidity from various leftists, I just had to bring that to you too. Now, I had Ron Edwards on last week from the Ron Edwards Notebook, and this is going to start off happy stories. I'll tell you what. Someone says, yeah, I can stand to hear some good news, and Mary Brockman says, yeah, I love happy stories. Okay, well, let's start off a happy story with this from Ron Edwards.
A great American history maker finally gets the recognition she deserves. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, Dr. Gladys West, one of the 4 hidden figures featured in the movie Hidden Figures, recently was given formal recognition for her inventive genius behind the development of the global positioning systems. The 87-year-old genius mathematician, one of 4 black American women portrayed in the Hidden Figures movie, joined an elite group of professionals recently recognized by the Air Force Space Command. She was also publicly honored for her tremendous work as a member of a team of all-black professionals who did computing for the United States military before electronic systems were available. West and her black American colleagues excelled to the heights of intellectual achievement. They did not allow Jim Crow Democrat bigots to deter them from reaching their God-given potential of greatness. Congratulations, Dr. Gladys West, and all the one-time hidden figures who chose the high road of greatness over the low trail of bitterness often exhibited by many individuals today who only have themselves to blame for their self-induced lack of achievement. I'm Ron Edwards. Join me Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on SHR Media, AmericaMatters.us, and 12 a.m. Sundays on Talk America Radio Network.
Ron Edwards, the new voice of America.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
And nothing plays well like liberty, right? Of course. Again, I'm getting kudos in chat about happy stories. So, you know what? I think let's make it official.
It's time for happy stories and good times.
We're going to hear about this a little bit in the State of the Union speech, but I want to emphasize it because so many people seem unwilling to do so. This is actually from NPR. And it says, U.S. unemployment rate drops to 3.7%, the lowest in nearly 50 years. That evil damn Donald Trump. And what did I never used the 2 words together. What did Barack Hussein Obama said? Those jobs have left and they ain't coming back. Except when the jobs start to come back and then people get employed and the unemployment rate starts to go down. And then we have the lowest rate of unemployment for blacks and Hispanics in about 20 years. Gosh, that didn't happen under Barack Hussein Obama. That's happening under President Donald John Trump, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head. The story says the U.S. jobless rate dropped to 3.7% in September, the lowest since 1969. Though the economy added a lower than expected 134,000 jobs, the Bureau of Labor Statistics said the jobless rate fell from August's 3.9%. I'd consider that a happy story. Here's another one. This is more recent. U.S. economy. This is from Axios. U.S. economy smashes expectations, creating, this is, like I say, a newer story, creating 304,000 jobs in January, just last month. The economy added 304,000 jobs in January, significantly more than the 170,000 economists were expecting, while the unemployment rate ticked slightly higher to 4% from 3.9%, reflecting the impact of the government shutdown, the Labor Department said on Friday. I don't know. To me, those sound like happy stories. To me, I could be wrong. Speaking of a happy story, I may have played this before. I don't think so. But I came across this. Somebody sent this to me. And even if I did play it here before, when I played it earlier today, and this got inserted into the program. Oh, and Happy Fox. Welcome to Happy Fox. Happy Fox, that's either an alias or we've never seen you before in chat. If we've never seen you before in chat, Happy Fox, welcome. You're welcome here all the time. Good to see you. This is a darn near the official commercial for the new Democrat Party, considering the things that I'm going to tell you in just a few minutes. One thing about comedy is only funny when there's an element of truth to it, right?
Hi, I'm a spokesperson for the Democratic Party, and I'm here to tell you why you need to vote blue this November. Democrats are the party of love and tolerance. We promote inclusion and acceptance, peace, and goodwill. Republicans don't care about any of these things. They just want to talk about record unemployment, the economy, and keeping communities safe. Fascists. Democrats have positive, practical priorities, like abolishing the Electoral College, eliminating due process, and banning hate speech. These are the values of the American people.
Right.
Well, at least Americans that live in San Francisco and New York.
Correct? Oh, come on, don't lock up on me. You're locking up on me. Go, 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 go. Okay, I hate dead air, and everybody else hates dead air. That's so sad. Maybe I'll come back to that. Then there was another incident that occurred, and let me throw this out there and ask your opinion on this. Do you remember when this guy, I think he was on the TV series Empire. I don't watch it. I don't really know what it is. I don't know who he is. I don't much care. He's a gay guy that plays on, a gay black guy, because I need to acknowledge all those things, who plays on that show. And he said that he was in some neighborhood, and I think it was Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. And some people in red MAGA hats came up to him, put a noose around his neck, beat him up, and said, "Ha, ha, ha, you're in MAGA country." I can't say that particularly passed the smell test. And then, of course, when that first came out, people were saying, do you see now what kind of people back Donald John Trump, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head? But some of these things, they're not playing out well. Here's an article from Gateway Pundit. It says the guy's name is Jussie Smollett. Jussie Smollett refuses to turn over his cell phone to investigators, and was filmed in the lobby after the attack that he alleged appearing normal. The Jussie Smollett story continues to be questionable as it seems to disintegrate before our eyes. And once again, the American media took the bait and ran with the unsubstantiated and rather ludicrous allegations by a vocal Trump-hating leftist. And let me make sure that you understand that he is not a fan of Donald John Trump at all. Actor Jussie Smollett arrived in Chicago a couple of Monday nights ago. He was out to get fast food at 2 a.m. He was allegedly attacked by 2 Trump supporters in MAGA hats who recognized him in the freezing cold, beat him, poured bleach on him, and put a noose around his neck. But his story keeps changing. Now the manager says he overheard the assault, and initially he doesn't want to turn in his cell phone. It would seem to me that if you're the victim in this, that you would want to be as cooperative as you possibly could with whatever police department has the jurisdiction, in this case, Chicago PD. The story continues by saying Smollett said he was assaulted and suffered a cracked rib, but condo surveillance video shows Smollett walking past security to the elevator without telling them that he had just been attacked by thugs who, quote, beat the hell out of him and broke his ribs. That might be a little bit problematic. And because I dared to mention that it appears maybe not to smell or not to pass the smell test, Twitchy, which is, I can't say that is a bastion of right-wing organizations. Twitchy says this: Chicago Police Superintendent Jussie Smollett, quote, will be held accountable if he made a false report. Well, this isn't going real well either. Things could be getting interesting very fast in the Jussie Smollett investigation because apparently, because Smollett was allegedly not being cooperative, CPD has subpoenaed Smollett's phone records per a friend on the force. 2 persons of interest in relation to Jussie Smollett's attack in Chicago turn out to be homeless, were never near Smollett, and Smollett also didn't have a broken rib, as he claimed, and still refuses to give his phone to police, despite claiming it has evidence on it. Okay, so BZ, this seems really conflicting to me. Why did you place this under happy stories? I place it under a happy story because in the world of leftists, you're nothing unless you're a victim. And so if this were you, you're a gay black man at 2 a.m. in Chicago, and you're assaulted by 2 allegedly, I'm guessing, white guys, because that's got to follow the meme, because he already doesn't care for Donald John Trump. MAGA hat wearing guys who assaulted him, allegedly broke his ribs, poured bleach on him, and then put a rope around his neck as if to lynch him. You would think that one of the first things you'd want to do is remove the noose, which apparently that didn't occur either. So considering today's wacky circumstances with regard to leftists, let me reference this then to all the craziness that's occurring in Virginia, in the state of Virginia. The Virginia governor was found to either be wearing a KKK hat or be wearing blackface in a yearbook. And leftists are not keen on that, but he refuses to leave. First he said it's him. Then he said it wasn't. Now he's saying he's not leaving. His lieutenant governor, who is a black male, now is accused of allegedly assaulting a female, and not just sexually harassing her with verbiage, but physically assaulting her during a Democrat National Committee convention. That seems pretty serious. Then the number 3 position in the entire state of Virginia, another white guy, is now, by the way, all 3 of these are Democrats, as if you hadn't gotten that point already. The number 3 guy in the state of Virginia is now accused of the exact same thing, appearing a while ago in blackface. Now compare it to this. Do you see that the narrative of leftists doesn't play well? And do you see the hypocrisy that's rampant throughout of all of this? And again, I go back to Smollett. If you were assaulted, wouldn't it be advisable for you, if you want these people caught, to attempt to cooperate with the police as much as humanly possible? Again, that doesn't pass the smell test. Where this goes, I have no idea. I just know that I need to bring it to your attention. This is another happy story. This one I just picked up today. And I thought, weren't you, let me ask you guys, weren't you all along pretty much saying to yourselves, you know, when you pass and get your degree in the arts of intramural underwater basket weaving, and that allows you with, you know, the $100,000 in debt that you're carrying because the government is going to pay for that, therefore they want their money, and because the guarantee of all these various institutions is, well, the government's going to pay. So our tuitions can skyrocket and go up. But when you graduate from college, you're trained classically in order to grab a handle of the machine that goes and you hand people their coffee. Hadn't you always wondered, because you know, you've met them, I've met them too, there are so many people in the world of service that are flakes, that when you come across somebody in any service venue who is not a flake and can handle things like a good mechanic, like a good HVAC dude or dudette, like somebody that can service your car, like a good plumber, like a good electrician, like someone that can build a fence, that can help to repair your house. When you come across somebody like that in the trades, you ask yourself, why don't more kids do this? That's pretty immediate money instead of pulling the handle or punching the cheeseburger icon at some major fast food franchise. Then there's this story which came out from Vice.com of all places. Happy Fox says, I classically trained in weaving grass apparel. Wonderful. Excellent. See? Point taken. Thank you. Vice.com. I found this rather amazing. Generation Z, which follows the millennials, Generation Z is choosing trade school over college. With the job market in flux, younger Americans are trying to avoid an education that comes with a massive amount of debt. Oh my God, am I reading this correctly? The story says, for decades, technical and vocational schools have been falling out of favor as more and more people opt for getting advanced degrees at four-year colleges. But recently, with the job market overpromising and underpaying, the trend has begun to reverse. States have started to reinvest in trade schools, and the generation inheriting volatile job prospects, a gig economy, and contract pay is following suit. I think that's a wonderful idea. Generation Z, those people who were officially born between, I think Generation Z is the mid-1990s and the early 2000s, now are more often, according to this article, turning to trade schools to avoid the skyrocketing student debt crisis and hone skills that transfer directly and immediately into jobs, from, say, electrical engineering to cosmetology. And the power of trade unions has dwindled, and societal value still favors more elite professions. Young students are finding themselves drawn to stable paychecks in fields where there's an obvious need. I think that's a happy story. That's a story whose time has come. I think that's wonderful. We need good trade people, as you well know, just trying to get things fixed in your own household. And hearing horror stories of, unfortunately, all the flakes that happen to be out there in the trades, or people to make a deal with you and end up boning you or not even showing up at all. That's a great story, and I'm really glad to hear it. Here's another one. This is a little bit of schadenfreude. I've talked about it many times here in the Saloon. So you probably already know what schadenfreude is. If not, jump on your favorite search engine. Hopefully it's not Google. And check the word schadenfreude, Schadenfreude. This story has bags of it. This is from Deadline Hollywood. Now, you might be saying at this point, BZ, there could be a number of reasons for this. Okay, but I still like it anyway. Super Bowl viewership falls to lowest since 2008 in a historically low-scoring game. And there's an update to that. Of course, that was the one where the Patriots, who many people around here at SHR enjoy, who isn't here right now, Sackhead Sean, who hails from the Boston area, if you get that. I think they won 10-3, and the Rams just couldn't pull it out. But I didn't even really watch the football game, maybe 5 minutes of it or so, and it was a snoozer. I decided that I did both things. I cleaned my fish tank and I balanced my checkbook because it was so exciting. And people are saying, they're trying to say, oh, it's because the Pats were there and the Patriots are going to win anyway, and who wants to see the Patriots win, blah, 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 blah. You know what this is, though? This is a result of the and I need to tell you something else. Oh, that just reminded me. Today's Thursday. Today is February 7th, the year of our Lord, 2019. In 2 more days, something's happening. Let me finish this story, and I'll tell you. I think that they suffered a severe ratings loss because people, essentially, in bulk, in mass, are tired of the bullshit in the NFL. The other thing is, and I watched this occur on social media and spoke to people. And people used to watch the Super Bowl to see what kind of commercials were in it. The only commercials that I saw were commercials in the Super Bowl that people paid millions of dollars for. And all they did is want to lecture my ass about how I need to be a better person. You know what? If I'm going to be sucked up into a Super Bowl that I really don't care about anymore by football, and then I'm not keen on watching that, and then you have advertisers who deign to lecture to me, it's an advertisement. You want me to buy your damn product. I'm sorry, I'll not be lectured to anymore. I'm in my 7th decade. All you people that deign to do that, you can go straight to hell. And I think a lot of people are of that mindset, and they're saying, Rams, Patriots. But I think it stems mostly, NFL. Now here's the story. The AAF is starting, and Sackheads Clint talked about this, I think, 2 Wednesdays ago. Not this past Wednesday, yesterday, but the Wednesday before. The AAF is starting this Saturday, and I want to leave this little tickler file in your brain housing group. The AAF is the Alliance of American Football, and they've got some great coaches. It'll be very interesting. I think if you go, again, on your favorite search engine and put in there AAF or Alliance of American Football, Sackheads Clint and I were talking about a team that's in San Diego called the San Diego Fleet, because the Navy Fleet resides in San Diego at the Naval Air Station down there. And I'm looking at the AAF website, and I'm looking at how they're portraying this. They've got a great trailer, and they're doing what the NFL isn't. I think whoever is running this picked up on all of this that's been happening in the NFL for the past 2 or 3 years. It looks to me like they're promoting America, promoting football, promoting the safety of the players, making sure that the players are taken care of in terms of retirement. And I don't think you're going to see any damn kneeling or the politicization of the NFL, which I and many others like me, I'm just done with it. I'm done with it. So I'm going to give the AAF their due. I'm going to give them an opportunity. I will watch them on Saturday. Now, I think they've got a limited schedule because at this point they have a limited number of teams. They're looking to expand, etc. I want to see how they're going to perform. It may turn out that the AAF is going to give the NFL a big-ass run for their money. And as far as I'm concerned, you know what? If you do, the NFL, as I've said numerous times on social media to them, I'm done with you. You also and your lecturing advertisers can go straight to hell. That, too, I think, is a happy story. Here's another happy story. Remember Governor Cuomo in the state of New York celebrating, doing a dance, because we're the first state to make sure that we can kill more babies. And that's really something to be proud of, don't you think? I do. Hey, Dave Milner, welcome. Good to see you in chat. And boy, people are talking like crazy in chat. Holy moly. Oh, Dave Milner says the first AAF game is Saturday at 8 p.m. on CBS. Okay, there you go. Something for your tickler file. The Alliance of American Football, their first game, and I think the San Diego Fleet are playing in this one, and I can't remember the second team. 8 p.m. on CBS. Now in Sacramento, that happens to be Channel 13. With you, take a peek on your favorite search engine. Look it up. Back to Governor Cuomo. Celebrating massive, you can get hot and cold running abortions in the state of New York. Now that's something to be happy about. Well, there's also a bit of schadenfreude that goes along with that being a happy story. The New York Post just came out with an article which says, Cuomo announces income tax revenues have dropped by $2.3 billion. Oh, if I had a cut, if I had a producer right now, my producer would be playing a cut of somebody on a fiddle, and here's my fiddle. My really small fiddle right here. I don't know if you're watching. This is my little fiddle. Feeling very sorry for Governor Cuomo. And the story goes like this. Governor Andrew Cuomo announced Monday that state income tax revenues plummeted by $2.3 billion since he introduced his new budget plan just last month, a bombshell that's going to force him to curb some spending. Cuomo attributed the revenue drop in December and January largely to a new federal tax code as well as volatility in the stock market and other uncertainties. Uncertainties, euphemism, air quote, uncertainties. He said, there's a $2.3 billion drop in revenues. That's as serious as a heart attack. This is worse than we had anticipated, the governor said in Albany. Here's what leftists don't get. And I don't know, you can say it's bad, you can say it's good. For him, I think it's good. It's your policies, just like what you introduced, and your rules and your regulations that are driving people away. It's not your good-heartedness, and it's not your smarts. Folks, be right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is a great chat room tonight. Thanks for everybody being in chat. Talk about active. Okay, let's talk about active. I'm the Bloviating Zeppelin. I'm BZ. And you're listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct from the sumptuous and palatial SHR Media Studios, where I am broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, 2 miles east of the Bill Mill, the locus of evil on the entire left coast, nay, yea, perhaps the entire nation. The Capitol building in Sacramento, Fornicalia, at 10th and L, where late at night when I get through and I exit that door right there, I'm going to smell the noxious fumes, the sulfurous brimstone of evil emanating from that building right there. Hey, Kaiser Schuff, welcome. Welcome. Great to see you in chat. I was doing some happy stories and good times. I've got more of those. We had a story just before the break about Andrew Cuomo going, oh, woe is me, I'm losing $2.3 billion because I'm a stupid leftist fucktard and I'm driving everybody out of the state with regulations and taxes. And I said, you know what, in chat, I said, I've got some more stories about that. Let's shift states, shall we? Here's one from prweb.com. A record number of companies are departing California. A study urges more to leave. A new study by Spectrum Location Solutions reveals that more than 13,000 companies have left California for friendlier locations, and that nearly, check this out, this is glorious, 13,000 companies have fled California, and nearly $77 billion in capital has been diverted to other states and nations. New laws are tougher on businesses than in any other state. Like I said in chat, people vote at the ballot box, but they also vote in another fashion, and that's with their feet. when they leave the damn state. California's business climate has deteriorated to the point that a consultant who specializes, this is amazing, to the point where a consultant who specializes in helping companies find new locations is now, for the first time ever in his career, openly urging businesses to relocate out of the state of California. The recommendation comes in an update to studies about companies departing California for business-friendly states. They actually exist. It ain't California, and clearly it ain't New York either. I think there's another state I'm going to be mentioning here in just a little bit. It found that 1,800 relocation or disinvestment events occurred in 2016, the most recent year that's available, setting a record yearly high going back to 2008, and that about 13,000 companies left the state during that 9-year period. Well, let's see, 2016 is 2019. I bet you more have left. What do you think? Departures are understandable when year after year CEOs nationwide surveyed by Chief Executive Magazine have declared California the worst state in which to do business, said Joseph Vranich, president of Spectrum Location Solutions, LLC, and study author. I can't imagine this would be true. The top reason to leave the state no longer is high taxes. The legal climate has become so difficult that companies should consider locating in jurisdictions where they'll be treated fairly. Businesses don't even perceive that they're treated fairly in California. Imagine that. In California, a tipping point has been reached with a new statute that puts businesses in a lose-lose situation, no matter how hard a company tries to operate in a legal manner. The new Immigrant Worker Protection Act, California, at its finest, states that an employer must follow federal immigration law, is now violating California law, is committing a crime, and is subject to fines. However, it's also a crime if the employer fails to follow federal immigration law. So the state of California law and federal law is in conflict. Man, you wonder why businesses are fleeing California. They're giving it the high, holy, flying, fickle finger of fate. Here's another happy story. Oh, we're talking about New York. We're talking about California. Well, what about, this is from the New York Post. Now, if you had to say, what would you say to this headline? More people moved out of this state than any other in America. I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about that. What state has the most people moving out of it in America? We're talking about New York. We're talking about California. What's another leftist state? Colorado? Would it be Colorado? What do you think? What state would it be? The New York Post says this. New Jersey residents are on the outs with their state. More people moved out of the Garden State in 2018 than any other state, according to a new study by United Van Lines, and by God, they would know, don't you think? Though New York wasn't far behind. New Jersey, which topped the list of the most moved from states, was followed by Illinois, Connecticut, and the Empire State, New York, the moving company study found. Wow. Wow. Dave in chat says, Michigan? This is very interesting. The Northeast region continues to see more residents leaving than moving in, with 57% of all moves within the U.S., the Northeast U.S., being outward bound moves. The study found 66.8% of New Jersey moves were outbound. The percentages were 65.9% in Illinois, 62% in Connecticut, 61.5% in New York, and 58.7% in Kansas. Kansas! What the hell? Wow, okay. There's Arkansas and there's Kansas, and apparently Kansas people are leaving. I would not have seen this coming. Now, you're talking about other states. Here's just a wrapping up sentence. Ohio, Massachusetts, Iowa, Montana, and, Dave, Michigan rounded out the list of the most moved from states. Some of those states, I got to tell you what, I didn't see that coming. Here's another happy story from Fox News. The EPA announces a rollback of Obama-era coal emissions rules. The Environmental Protection Agency announced Thursday a plan to roll back Obama administration-era coal emission standards. Acting Administrator Andrew Wheeler said the change would help the coal industry by alleviating unnecessary burdens. Hallelujah, hallelujah, and thank God. Gee. Okay. That's kind of the end of happy stories. You're going to have to tell me whether you think this is a happy story or not. And we're going to see whether or not I get smacked by some of the social media sites for playing this, but I heard this. And considering what's been happening recently, we'll get into this with leftists, because part of the show today is let's larf our asses off at leftists. Dave Miller in chat, by the way, says Kansas is getting more Mohammedans in from the Obama influx. That's interesting. I find that interesting. Well, someone on the left has been in the news these days, and when I heard this, I thought, you know, yeah, this is interesting.
She told me her name was Saloon. She was in D.C. She said, excuse me, but can you please pay my rent?
Pay my rent.
I cannot afford my apartment. Come on, girl. She started talking about politics like a socialist. Been for too long, it beside me is this chick is nuts. She probably rides on the short bus. The short bus. She reminds me of a donkey that smoked a lot of crack. And got hit in the face with a frying pan. She's borderline retarded, and her policies a wag. Don't try to speak with logic, cause she just won't understand. Come on. AOC is not suitable for Congress. She's just a girl who dances on blue.
Okay, and then it ends. I'm sorry. I had to play that. Since we're laughing at leftists, I also had to play this, too. Let me see if I can stop this and tune this in. This, of all things, this, I believe, is from Saturday Night Live. I got to tell you, I'm a little shocked.
Hey, Seth. Welcome back.
All right, well, thank you.
Oh, no.
Are you excited about the holidays?
Okay. All right, let me set this up. This is Seth Meyers. This is Late Night with Seth Meyers. And he's interviewing, well, AOC. Okay, it's not really AOC, but it is funny.
Excited? I'm repulsed, Seth. All this commercialism around Christmas, it's an outrage. It's a tragedy. It's like, what are we even doing? And like, why? And like, don't.
Oh, you really seem like you're in the Christmas spirit.
You mean the Christmas spirit? Oh, right. You don't care about Jesus because you worship Hallmark.
Oh, boy.
You need to wake up and smell the music, Seth. There are homeless people out there who can't even pay their mortgages.
Okay, alrighty. And the doggone blue circle of death is killing me once again, so I'm going to have to move on. This is a story from NPR, and this was just released. Now, I'm giving you this in order because so much occurred in the span of just like a day and a half. Now, this is the initial information that just came out, and NPR produced it, and here it goes. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and people call her AOC because that's a long damn name, and even on Twitter she goes by Rep AOC. Okay, so she acknowledges that herself. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez releases her Green New Deal online. Well, that doesn't, on the cusp of it, that doesn't sound so bad, does it? Whether it's a deadly cold snap or a hole under an Antarctic glacier or a terrifying new report, there seems to be constant reminders now of the dangers that climate change poses to humanity. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat, New York, and Senator Ed Markey, Democrat, Massachusetts, think they have a start to a solution. Today, they introduced a framework defining what they call a Green New Deal. On its face, doesn't that sound great? A Green New Deal. Who wouldn't want a Green New Deal? What they foresee is a massive policy package that would remake the U.S. economy, and they hope will eliminate all U.S. carbon emissions. That's a really big, potentially impossibly big undertaking. Well, what is the Green New Deal? Here's what a lot of people are not addressing, and we're going to go because, as you likely know, the devil is always in the details. Now, NPR writes this in broad strokes. The Green New Deal legislation laid out by AOC and Markey sets goals for some drastic measures to cut carbon emissions across the economy, from electricity generation to transportation to agriculture. Oh, that's just the tip of the iceberg, folks. In the process, it aims to create jobs and boost the economy. Now, when I start to get into the details, I would like you to envision how it is that you believe that the things that I'll be going into will jumpstart the economy and give people tons more jobs. Keep that in mind. In that vein, the proposal stresses that it aims to meet its ambitious goals while paying special attention to groups like the poor, the disabled, and minority communities that might be disproportionately affected by massive economic transitions like those the Green New Deal calls for. Importantly, and they emphasize this time and again because, I read all the social media about this and watched some news stories before I came here tonight. Leftists, Democrats, and the American media maggots want to remind you that it's a non-binding resolution, meaning that even if it were to pass, it wouldn't itself create any new programs. Instead, it would potentially affirm the sense of the House that these things should be done in the coming years. So the devil is in the details. What do we know about it? What are the specifics of the framework? If you were watching any of the news shows, you might already know some of this, but the bill calls for a 10-year national mobilization towards accomplishing a series of goals that the resolution lays out. Among the most prominent, the deal calls for meeting 100% of the power demand in the United States through clean, renewable, and zero-emission energy sources. Doesn't that sound great? Doesn't that sound brilliant? Who wouldn't want that? I would want that. You would want that. The devil is in the details. Her goal, however, and very much remember this, and she'll tell you to your face, the ultimate goal is to stop using fossil fuels entirely. Her office, told that to NPR, as well as to transition away from nuclear energy. All right. Where are you going to get your power? You have to ask that question first, don't you? In addition, the framework as described by the legislation as well as a blog post contained a bunch of FAQs. And it said that these are some of the things that are desired. Upgrading all existing buildings in the country for energy efficiency. Not 2%, 5%, just new construction. Upgrading all existing buildings in the country for energy efficiency. Okay. Now let's start to throw in cash. Cash. Remember, all this takes money. Working with farmers to eliminate pollution and greenhouse gas emissions as much as is technologically feasible, while supporting family farms and promoting universal access. to healthy food. Think about that. Working with farmers to eliminate pollution. What are the bulk of the engines used on farms these days to drive the machinery, unless you want, to hook up a big yoke to a couple of big oxen named Clyde and Bull, which I guess we may be going to. Yeah, most farm machinery runs on diesel because it's the most effective and efficient engine with a great amount of torque to yield the farm jobs to be done. She wants to overhaul transportation systems to reduce emissions, including expanding electric car manufacturing, building, quote, charging stations everywhere. Who would pay for that? Who do you think? And expanding high-speed rail to a scale. When I tell you this, I'm not kidding. I'm reading this. This is not unicorn farts. Cow farts are bad enough. Overhauling transportation systems and expanding high-speed rail to, this is a quote, a scale where air travel stops becoming necessary. Now, if I had a producer, what you would have heard is this: stop. Let's see. God, now I can't remember the quote. Okay, to a scale where air travel stops becoming necessary. Okay, see, but I don't have a producer, so that's not what you heard. Okay. High-speed rail, no air travel. I guess that means that you'd have to sink a tunnel from the continental United States to Europe. I wonder how much that would cost. Or link Europe to Australia. I wonder how much that would cost. All those little islands with brown people that are out in the oceans, I guess all you people can go straight to hell because there's not going to be any air travel for you. All the people that are up in Alaska that are isolated, well, I guess you can go straight to hell as well. And Americans, by the way, with just trains, high-speed rail, of course, who wouldn't want that? With just trains, what that means basically is without absent air travel, I should say. Oh, the elites will still have planes. Don't make that mistake. The elites like AOC will still have access to aircraft. You won't. What that means is, you know what? Stay in your own damn community. You're not going to be going anywhere. And what the hell? You need to work harder for them to pay more taxes. So just stay the hell at home. Please, no air travel. This is also great. You're going to love the hell out of this. Okay, I got 2 more minutes left. I think I can make the end of this story and then transition to a new one after the break. Because it just keeps getting better. No shit, Sherlock. It just keeps getting better. Okay, no air travel, high-speed rail, a guaranteed job. Everyone gets a guaranteed job with a family-sustaining wage, adequate family and medical leave, paid vacations, and retirement security for every American. And also, she wants high-quality health care for all Americans. The other little bitty teeny weeny tidbit that's not in this story but is actually in the flyer that came out for this is, that guaranteed living wage. That living wage will be provided, by the way, to people, and this is a direct quote, it'll be provided to people who are, quote, unwilling to work.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks to everybody for being in chat tonight. It's a great group, and there's tons of people in there, and I love to see that. Thank you very much for being here. You're listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin right here, live and direct in the SHR Media Studios, the sumptuous E Palatial SHR Media Studios, where you can go to shrmedia.com, where you can listen and chat. You can also watch the show on the SHR Media Facebook page live right now, or the SHR Media YouTube channel right now. Kaiser Schuff says, YouTube is glitching. Yeah, I know, it breaks every once in a while. Okay, a little inside baseball. Facebook is a lot more consistent. Don't know why that is. It just turns out to be that way. We're talking about the Green New Deal and the insanity of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, whom we call, and she calls herself AOC, Here's another story from thefederalist.com. This came out today by Daryl Harsenal, I believe is the pronunciation. And it says, the 10 most insane requirements of the Green New Deal. A number of Democrat presidential hopefuls, including Cory Booker, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Kirsten Gillibrand, Julian Castro, and Beto O'Rourke, of course, why wouldn't they all, for starters, have endorsed or expressed support for the Green New Deal? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Edward J. Markey dropped details about her plan. It is not hyperbole to contend that GND is likely the most ridiculous and un-American plan that's ever been presented by an elected official to voters, not merely because it would necessitate a communist strongman to institute, but because of the societal costs, which are unfathomable. The risible historic analogies Markey and Ocasio-Cortez rely on, the building of the interstate highway system or moon landing, are nothing but trifling projects compared to a plan that overhauls modernity by voluntarily destroying massive amounts of wealth and technology. That's the essence of the Green New Deal. Some of the specifics need to be ironed out. The plan's authors assure that this massive transformation of our society needs some clear goals and a timeline. The timeline is 10 years. Here are some of the goals. Remember, I said the devil is in the details, and we're not talking about hyperbole here. That was just this past Sunday. Again, folks, AAF, Alliance of American Football, this coming Saturday at 8 p.m. Give them a shot. Try them out. Here's some of the bullet points for the Green New Deal from AOC. Ban affordable energy. The GND calls for the elimination of all fossil fuel energy production, the lifeblood of American industry and all life, which includes not only oil, but also natural gas, one of the cheapest sources of American energy, and one of the reasons the United States has been able to lead the world in carbon emissions reduction. Eliminate nuclear energy. The GND also calls for eliminating all nuclear power, one of the only productive and somewhat affordable clean energy solutions available to us in 11 years. That would basically purge around 20% of American energy production so you can rely on intermittent wind for your energy needs. Eliminate 99% of cars. Now, to be fair, under the GND, everybody will need to retrofit their cars with Flintstones-style footholes or pedals for cycling. The authors state that the GND would likely to replace every combustion engine vehicle, trucks, airplanes, boats, 99% of cars within 10 years. Charging stations for electric vehicles will be built everywhere, though how power plants are going to provide the energy needed to charge them is a mystery. Stop. When was the last time that California built an electrical generation station? Okay, I'll wait. Oh, that'd be about 25 years. Do they have a ton of them on the drawing boards right now? No. Are they going to build dams to be able to use cheap water to generate electricity so that water can be gravity fed through a penstock and then turn a generator? No, that's not going to happen in California. Interesting. Oh, they're also going to gut and rebuild every building in America. Markey and AOC want to retrofit every building in America with state-of-the-art energy efficiency. Every building in America. Okay, now what does that include? That includes every home, every factory, every apartment building, which will all need, for starters, to have their entire working heating and cooling systems ripped out and replaced with, whatever technology Democrats are going to invent in their committee hearings, I guess. Eliminate air travel. I told you about this. This is great. This is grand. What a grand thing to do. GND calls for building out high-speed rail at a scale where air travel stops becoming necessary. And like I mentioned, it says, good luck, Hawaii. California's high-speed boondoggle is already $100 billion of debt and looks to be one of the state's biggest fiscal disasters ever. Amtrak runs billions of dollars in the red. I know this. I'm a train and rail aficionado. Amtrak doesn't make money. Amtrak doesn't make money. Amtrak has never made money. A little teeny bit in the Northeast Corridor because people in New York, etc., are packed like herrings from Washington to D.C., but except for a small little corridor, passenger rail travel doesn't make money. Stop. Here's something else that you need to know. Passenger rail travel in Europe doesn't make money. Do you know why there's so many trains in Europe? Because the governments foot the bill. Why? Because passenger train travel doesn't make money. So, because of that, we need to eliminate air travel, right? Okay. Imagine growing that business model out of every state in America. Just eliminate air travel. Hawaii, well, screw you. You can go to hell. Yeah, a government guaranteed job. The bill promises the U.S. government will provide every single American, throw in illegal immigrant, throw that in there too, because, really, they're all Americans too. Anybody on the planet, they're all Americans, right? With a job, you're going to get a job that includes a family-sustaining wage, family and medical leave vacations, and a pension. You're going to get paid. You're going to have retirement. You can imagine that those left in the private sector is going to be funding these through some kind of unspecified massive taxation. On the bright side, look at it this way. When you're foraging for food, your savings will be basically worthless. Free education. I didn't get to this part. You're going to love this. Free education for life. The G&D promises free college, free trade schools for every American. A salubrious diet. The G&D promises the government is going to provide healthy food to every American because there are no beans or lettuce in your local supermarket. And that's the truth. I mean, if you looked recently, they're just not there. You're going to be provided with a house. The G&D promises that the government is going to provide safe, affordable, adequate housing for every American citizen. The author says, hey, I call dibs on an affordable Adams Morgan townhouse. Thank you very much, AOC. Free money. Free money. This is one of the best parts. Free money. The GMD aims to provide, and he writes, I'm not making this up, economic security for all those who are, quote, like I said, this is a quote, unable or unwilling to work. Just to reiterate, if you're unwilling to work, the rest of us, you know what? We got your back. There's a bonus. There's a bonus. As if it wasn't good enough already. They throw in AOC. Throws in a bonus. We're going to ban meat. AOC admits that we can't get zero emissions in 10 years because we aren't sure that we'll be able to fully... This is a quote. Because we aren't sure that we'll be able to fully get rid of farting cows and airplanes that fast. What's the only way to get rid of farting cows who produce methane? Oh, that's right. Yeah, we're going to get rid of beef. All those steaks you like. Just remember, when steaks are outlawed, only outlaws will have steak. I think that was a great story. But wait, there's more. This is a story from an author. Oh, an author, not just any author. This is Ben Shapiro, who weighs in on, I like listening to Ben Shapiro and like reading his stuff. This is an article by Ben Shapiro. AOC's Green New Deal proposal is one of the stupidest documents ever written. On Thursday, AOC released a 6-page proposal for a much ballyhooed Green New Deal. Before so much as reading it, Kamala Harris, who happens to be a 2020 presidential frontrunner, endorsed it. Maybe she should have read it. Whoever wrote the proposal is, to put it kindly, dense, idiotic, moronic. Even Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi found her unable to pretend to take it seriously. She said she hadn't seen it yet, but it's enthusiastic and I appreciate the enthusiasm. This, not coincidentally, is precisely what I say when I found out that my 2-year-old son has used his magic markers on his bedroom wall. when Nancy Pelosi has to pat you on the head and tell you that your picture of a doggy, which for the record looks like a blob with 3 legs and spaghetti sauce stain, is just great, honey, you're in trouble. I'm not going to continue with that because I've got so much more to go. And then this happened. All in one day. Today, this happened. Wow, this was quick. This is from the GatewayPundit.com, and I just noticed this before I stepped into the studio. Gateway Pundit writes, well, that was quick. AOC just pulled her lunatic Green New Deal plan from her webpage. No. Democrat darling AOC released information on the Democrat Party's radical and lunatic Green New Deal today, Thursday. The radical Democrat socialist plan is going to destroy the country in months, if not days. We all know what it does, and she wants to get rid of farting cows, etc. However, Americans for Tax Reform posted details to the plan, but apparently that plan didn't go over so well. And already the plan was taken down. So I went to go to that page myself to go see. The Green New Deal has been taken down from the AOC website. So what I did is I went there. I got the original link from the earlier stories, and what I got was this. At the top, it says Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez representing the 14th District of New York, and under that it says page not found. The web page, file, or other resource you were trying to view wasn't found at the location requested. This could be for many reasons. Yeah, like you took it down when people were making fun of your ass. Oh, and then there was this today from Nancy Pelosi. This was a public bitch slap by Nancy Pelosi to AOC in public. And it went like this. Pelosi wrote, "The Green Dream," or whatever they call it, nobody knows what it is, but they're for it, right? You know what? Like I wrote, and I put this out on social media, I wrote this, I said, somebody get me a beer. And get me some popcorn, too, while you're at it, because this shit that's following is going to be sweet. It's really going to be sweet. Because we already know that AOC she is clued in on taxes and smartness, and she competes with some of the best potted household ficuses around, right?
In July 2018, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who at the time was running for Congress, made a dubious statement about the U.S. workforce.
Unemployment is low because everyone has 2 jobs.
Here she claimed that people holding multiple jobs somehow makes the unemployment rate lower.
Unemployment is low because people are working 60, 70, 80 hours a week and can barely feed their kids.
PolitiFact examined these claims and found that out of 154.5 million job holders, only 6.4 million held multiple jobs. And out of that group, people working 2 full-time jobs is no more than 0.2%.
Okay, I'm going to stop this for a second because I've got some of the best people in chat. And Mary Brockman wrote, "Fruits and vegetables make me fart."
Of the entire U.S. workforce.
Dave Milner says vegetables make me sad.
And with that, PolitiFact gave her statements on unemployment the notorious pants on fire rating. But instead of it being a teachable moment for Alex, she's doubled down.
Do we want to live in a city where billionaires have their own personal Uber helipads? So do we want these kind of, folks with helipads in the same city and the same society as people who are working 80-hour weeks and can't feed their kids?
Okay, you're working an 80-hour week and you can't feed your kids. First question comes to mind from BZ is, how many damn kids do you have?
Now, because she specifically mentioned New York City, let's do some math.
And let's kill all the helipads.
In 2019, the lowest non-tipped hourly wage you can make in New York City is $13.50 an hour. So if someone is working
Okay, Brain Housing Group just exploded. Tips. Who do you think, folks, is the biggest tipper? Is it going to be a leftist or is it going to be a conservative? Well, guess what? I think you already know the answer. It's going to be a conservative, right?
80 hours a week. They will make, at minimum, $1,080. But that's if they have two.
By the way, just ask any server. They'll tell you.
Two full-time jobs at 40 hours each. If they are working one full-time job and get 80 hours a week, after 40 hours, they would be eligible for overtime pay, which would net them $1,350. If you can't afford to feed your kids after working 80 hours a week, then there's some bigger issues at play. Glad we settled that. Now, the Congress...
I think it's wrong that you can work 100 hours and not feed your kids.
Work 100 hours and not feed your kids?
How many kids does this person have that they can't feed them working 100 hours a week?
Corporations like Walmart and Amazon can get paid by the government, essentially experience a wealth transfer from the public for paying people less than a minimum wage.
What does that even mean? Why are people clapping at this? Amazon pays all of their employees a minimum of $15 an hour. And while Walmart sales associates are generally paid a low wage, they certainly do not get paid below minimum wage, because that would be against the law. This congresswoman says things that are blatantly untrue, and people applaud her.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being...
Okay, I got to stop you here just for a second. I don't know if you remember this interview on 60 Minutes with AOC and, God, I can't think of the dude's name from CNN. But as she's speaking, Anderson Cooper. As she's speaking, you should, if you haven't, you have to see the look on Anderson Cooper's head like, is this dimwit actually saying these things right in front of me, to my face?
Precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
You can't be morally right.
I interjected. Okay, you need to hear this again. You need to hear what she said. It staggers the imagination.
I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
Okay. What she just said is emotions trump facts and statistics. That's exactly what she said. And you should have seen the gobsmacked look on Anderson Cooper's face.
You can't be morally right if you are factually wrong.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
12 years later.
So the world isn't going to end in exactly 12 years, but it might be slightly warmer.
Well, wait a minute. I get it now. If the world ends in 12 years, that's why she just put out this Green New Deal saying that we got to do all this shit in 10 years. Then maybe we'll be able to relax for 2 years before everything blows up. Right?
She is getting this from the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
Right.
In 2018, they released a report that claims that unless the world cuts its CO2 emissions in half by 2030, the Earth's temperature will rise 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit. And if it does, it will be irreversible.
Like, this is the war. This is our World War II.
So, like, climate change is like the Nazis or something.
So what's the Congresswoman's solution to saving the planet? Socialism!
A Green New Deal, a highly ambitious, some would say unrealistic proposal that would convert the entire U.S. economy to renewable sources of energy in just 12 years.
Actually, that's wrong. It's would convert everything in 10 years because we just heard it. Now, we're talking about socialism, and I think I'll be able to play this cut before we get to the bottom of the hour. We've had, for a number of years, I've maintained, purposely so, because the institutions of higher yearning are controlled by leftists. So we have here what I term historical Alzheimer's, and we can't see in the United States what's occurring around us. We can't see what's occurring across the pond in Europe. Now, some do. Conservatives do, I would wager. And we can't see what's occurring down below us in South America. maybe it's time. Oh, hey, Mamba, welcome. Good to see you in chat. Maybe it's time we listen to some of the people who've endured the kind of conditions that we suddenly seem to want here in the United States. Gosh, now, what country do you think I might be referring to? What do you think? I got a pretty good idea. This is a video, by the way, from Campus Reform about socialism.
Campus Reform. With the rise in socialism around America, we're in Washington, D.C. today talking to actual victims of socialism from Venezuela about what their message would be to young people that would like to see socialist policies here in the United States. Let's see what...
Right? They're going to say good things about Venezuela because they're people, they live there. Socialism is a great thing.
What would be your message to young people that think socialism would be a good idea here in America?
Look yourself in the mirror of Venezuela and Cuba. You do not ever want anyone, not even close to socialism, to come to this country.
People are eating from trash bags in the street. So how has socialism actually helped the country? From the perspective of people who've lived through failed socialism, it's very hard to accomplish.
Yeah, I don't think any Venezuelan can really like socialism because we've seen it put in place very well.
It's not a game. It is not a game. It is not the route to go. It is not possible. It's not feasible. Don't fall for it.
It doesn't work the way.
Out of the mouth of a Venezuelan. Don't fall for it.
The book says it works because we're humans and we have imperfections, and socialism is too perfect to be true.
Check your history, look at the news, look at all the countries that have failed under...
Check your history. Oh, the one thing leftists don't want you to do. Wasn't it AOC that we just heard say, you know, facts and history, they mean nothing. Emotions are all.
A socialist government like Cuba, like Venezuela.
In Venezuela, socialism doesn't work.
We've seen what happens when socialism kind of takes to the extreme.
Bernie Sanders, as your enemy, do not ever get involved with this individual or any of the other socialists.
Bernie Sanders is your enemy, says a Venezuelan.
We also thought that this could never happen in our country. We had a balance of powers, we had democracy, and we elected our leaders.
People always talk about the Nazis and stuff like that, but nobody talks.
Did you just hear what she said? She said, we the people of Venezuela, we elected our leaders. We're the people that put them there. And they don't like the consequences. Historical Alzheimer's. This is it. Learn from what's happening around us.
Talks about the socialists and communism. It has killed probably more people than Nazis did.
It's a big lie.
Well, let's give the facts. I know AOC won't like this. In a century of communism, 100 million people have been killed due to communism. Come on, what's a few 100 million people? Besides, there are people these days, as I said last night on Sackheads Against Tyranny, we have people walking around the United States. About 26 to 27% of people think that that the Holocaust, 6 million Jews killed. Nah, I'm not buying that.
To people who are disadvantaged, and it just actually makes them worse off.
It means a lot to me that this administration is doing something more than just sanctions and just words.
The people from Venezuela, we're very grateful.
Did I just hear a compliment given to Donald Trump?
With the United States, with this beautiful country, because they give you all the support right now in this critical situation.
Everyone's trying to paint it as if this is a U.S.-led thing, and it's for me, it's kind of an insult to the Venezuelan people who have been protesting for years. It's an insult to their agency.
I was born and raised in Venezuela. My parents are still in Venezuela. And I have seen the country basically just deteriorate.
In Venezuela, there's not food, medicine, education, nothing.
I left my home country 20 years ago because of this. And it's a gradual process over time. Little by little, power is taken away from the people.
Boiling frog in the boiling pot.
Well, I was born in Venezuela and I had to leave my country. I had to leave my family. I've been here in the States for 5 or almost 6 years.
I haven't seen my family in all of this time. Being so far away, not being able to help your own family kind of hurts. And the other thing about it is that not a lot of people are speaking about it.
I left my country 10 years ago, no seeing my family, no seeing my friends, leaving everything behind and start again. So I want the kids right now to be able to have a future.
That's how palatable socialism is. That's why we need to convert to socialism, right?
My country, people that they have hope to come back to our country and reconstruct it.
This is a beautiful country. It's the best of the world. It's the most powerful.
Thank you.
We didn't get there just with socialism or anything close to that.
I'm Kevin Phillips with Campus Reform. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to donate to help us make more videos just like that, you can click right here. And if you want to be the first person to see all of our new content, click
campusreform.org. Good folks, good deal. Tell you what, it's the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a break. The way it's moving right now, I don't think I'm going to get to the State of the Union speech. Because when we come back, I've got some actual news stories, some things that I bet that you haven't heard that are fairly significant and fairly important, and I haven't heard them any other place. You're going to hear them here first.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network. for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I am the Bloviating Zeppelin. This is the final 25 minutes. Well, for God's sakes, clearly I promoted that I'm going to get to the State of the Union speech. At this point, I'm not going to get to the State of the Union speech. I might have to do it next week, because I have some stories that I think you're really going to want to hear. And from this point on out, you'll understand. Happy stories are done. This is some very serious. First, something crazy, and then we're going to get into some very serious stories that I bet you haven't heard about just yet. I found this today. It was sent to me by Clint. Sackheads Clint, of all people. And when I first read it, I thought, okay, this came from The Onion, right? This is not true. Until I opened up the link that he gave me and saw that it came from Fox News, and then I read it, and then, okay. It's one of those stories where you slap your head and you say, really? Are you kidding me? This is where we're going on the planet? Apparently so. Here's the headline, which kind of gives it away, but there's more in the details. Indian man to sue his parents for giving birth to him without his consent wants to be paid for his life. And I read that appropriately. A 27-year-old Indian man is going viral after he announced an intent to sue his parents, claiming he didn't give his explicit consent to bring him into the world. Raphael Samuel, donning a fake beard and sunglasses, said in a YouTube video posted earlier Tuesday that he's suing his parents because he was conceived without his consent, and therefore his parents should pay for his life. This is a pull quote. If we are born without our consent, we should be maintained for our life. We should be paid by our parents to live. I wonder how that would have happened for his parents then. I want everyone in India and the world to realize one thing, that they are born without their consent. I want them to understand that they do not owe their parents anything, he said. If we are born without our consent, we should be maintained for our life. We should be paid by our parents to live. To children, I would like to say, do not do anything for your parents if you do not want to. If you want to, if you truly, genuinely feel like doing it, do it, he added. Samuel has been reported as a follower of, and I have not heard this. This is a new thing for me. He's been reported as a follower of antinatalism, an increasingly popular yet bizarre ideology that believes that it's morally wrong for people to procreate, and he takes a nihilistic approach towards human life, saying that humanity only brings suffering. Now, the reason that I bring this to you is, number one, it's a hell of a ridiculous story, but is this not in keeping with the ridiculous things that we never thought that we'd see in the past week and a half on part of leftists who are now actively advocating for, well, it's 24 weeks abortion, that's not enough. You should be able to abort I don't know, according to Cuomo in New York, maybe when you see the head, when there's crowning. And then that ridiculous Virginia governor was saying that, hey, as far as I'm concerned, you should be able to have the child and just let them die and not do anything for them except, well, make sure that they're comfortable. So don't you think that this is more in keeping with that? It's getting dangerous, silly, stupid, fattening, and frightening out there. And I bring this information to you because you need to be informed about all of the things that are happening around us. I like happy stories. You bet I do. But you also need to know about the ridiculousness, and this gives you clues and insight as to the potential future sources of entire movements. And here's a movement coming. It's no secret that when I worked for the sheriff's department, one of the areas that I worked when I was a detective was child abuse. And when you first get onto that child abuse unit, you get all the calls and all the cases that the rest of the people in child abuse who have some seniority don't want. And that's all the dead, burnt, raped babies, the twisted babies, the burned babies, the scorched babies. That's what you get when you first come into child abuse. And then you get to eventually, when you pass that you get to sit down and go mano a mano with pedophiles. And I'll be frank, pedophiles are nothing but vile mindfuckers. They exist solely to get into the brain of a child and warp them to their proclivities. Pederasts are age rangists, and that means that they only like children within certain ranges. Roll with me on this. I'm going somewhere, because when you hear this story, this is a new thing, and I'm trying to identify it for you so that you see it, you know it, you smell it, and it's going to be big. There's going to be a big push behind this. When I say that pedophiles are age rangists, the facts are some pedophiles only like infants. I'm not kidding. Infants are abused. Some pedos, they like the age 5 to 7. Before 5, after 7, they're not interested. Some pedos, and I'm just throwing numbers out there because they all have their age ranges. Some pedos like, say, 7 to 10. Before 7, not interested. After 10, not interested. Because it all goes to the fantasy that's in the brains of these, I use the word loosely, people. Here's a trend. I identified it. I found this story, and I'm giving it to you now because, mark my words, this will be the way and the fashion that pedos they always have and always will continue to attempt to be normed. They want to be normed into society. And that's this story that I discovered. Pedophiles believe that they should be part of the LGBT community. Pedophiles are going through, because they've seen it work for leftists, they're moving into this territory. They've found out, they've discovered branding. And so because of this, they've discovered that the best thing to do is to attempt to rebrand their proclivities, and they already have a euphemism. They're called MAPs. So careful. If you hear this term, I want all the bells and klaxons to go off in your brain and start paying attention to any conversation that you hear or any writing that you see or people mentioning this about MAPs. And I'm sure you're probably saying, what's that? A MAP is notice how this is, it's pushed down, it's tamped down. Oh, well, this doesn't sound so bad, does it? A map, okay, they can't be that bad. Because a map is a minor attracted person. Pedophile sounds so harsh. Let's go to maps. A minor attracted person. That's a clear and distinct attempt and effort to gain acceptance in this world. And here's what they want. They want to be included in that big spectrum of LGBT, etc. community. They want to fit in there because that's a community that is already accepted. Because, as I've said before, it's a tri-pronged movement that already occurred in that community, if you will. We went from tolerance, and then we transitioned over to acceptance, and then we transitioned and we're in this phase now of advocacy. And what I mean by that is you can no longer tolerate if you're to be, you will be excoriated by leftists. You can no longer tolerate something like this. You can no longer accept something like this. You must now be a wholesale advocate for something like this. So they want to get this inculcated into the LGBT area where people in the leftist area, in the leftist venue, are already to the advocacy portion of that scale. That's where pedophiles want to be. And in a distinct and relatively clever, I have to admit, attempt to be normed because they want to be accepted and they don't want laws against them, they're now MAPS, which is a minor attracted person. And already I peeked around. I'm not going to give them because I don't want people to go there. They don't need to go there. There are several LGBT news sites indicating that they want to gain acceptance, and they're focusing on that group. Now, there's something called the Urban Dictionary. And if you go to the Urban Dictionary, if you look carefully, here's what's placed under the category of MAP, which is a minor attracted person. Like I say, be on the lookout for this. Listen for this. And you'll have an insight into what kind of conversation that you're overhearing. Because people will be talking about this. Because pedos want to be mainstreamed. They want to be in the category of not just tolerated, not just accepted, but they want their predilections, their deviancy, to be mainstreamed and normed, and people must advocate for it. That's exactly what they want. In the Urban Dictionary, MAPS, minor attracted persons, include infantophiles, regarding infants, pedophiles, which involve prepubescent children, hebephiles, pubescent children, and ephebophiles, which are post-pubescent children. Some MAPS, minor attracted persons, I'm giving you a seminar in this right now. Some MAPS also refer to themselves as no MAPs. So if you hear MAP or no MAP, N-O-M-A-P, that stands for non-offending minor attracted person. At about this time, you're thinking to yourself, are you fucking kidding me? No, I am not. I am not. I fought this shit in the 90s. I was sued by a pedophile in a federal court because I went to you can go there and still find my writings. Because when I was in child abuse, I wrote for a website called Absolute Zero United, either .com or .org or something like that. It's been shut down for a while. But these were people that were writing actively and letting people know. It was, I got to tell you, it's a disgusting site. But what we did there is write and let people know about what these people, these meat sacks, are attempting to do in a civilized society. And so I was sued. I had my information as a law enforcement officer displayed all across the internet until I was able to have that taken down. And I was sued for multiple thousands of dollars because I dared to write against pedophiles. So trust me, I know what I'm talking about with regard to this shit. So MAPS, you hear that? Start thinking. That's a minor attracted person. That's what they're talking about. And then they try to tamp it down and norm it a little bit because, you know, these people aren't criminals. They're not bad people, so they came up with no MAPS, which is non-offending minor attracted persons, because they don't mean to offend, right? What is happening is these pedophiles are seeking to be part of the LGBT plus community. And they've gone so far as to make a pride flag for Gay Pride Month. And essentially what it is, it's a bunch of horizontal lines in various colors. And again, if you see this flag, you know what it stands for. It's a big white line in the middle, and then it ranges from yellow to light blue to blue. And then down below on the flag, it ranges from yellow to like pink to a little bit more red. So if you see that flag and it doesn't look like your standard rainbow flag, well, what that represents now is a map or a no map. And I want to tell you, they're in your towns, they're in your communities, they're in your neighborhood, and they're seeking to norm this sick shit. Do not doubt me for a moment. And that's the reason that I'm bringing this information to you. They're trying to, and they always have, and they always will, do things this way. They're trying to tug at your heartstrings by claiming that pedophiles, you know what? We're simply a misunderstood group. We're a bunch of marginalized people. Yeah, that's what we are. We're the victims here, not the children, not the infants. We're the victims here. And it's okay, you know, because as long as they don't, like, act on their inclinations, or in some permission, or in some instances, they consider permission given by a child as carte blanche, because you know how informed a child is in terms of their informed consent with regard. Trust me, it's all about sex. And I think you can do the math with that. So, and they say, well, look, we get permission from a child, from a 5-year-old. That should be good enough, right? And because we got permission, we shouldn't be villainized. We shouldn't be vilified. We're marginalized. We're the victims here. Realize this. This is a thing, and it's coming. There's a site called the Prevention Project. And it claims, again, I'm telling you this so that if you come across this, realize facts. Realize things as they are. Not as you want them to be, but as they are. Maps. No maps. The new flag. Norming. Mainstreaming. It's not just wanted or desired. It's here. Be aware of it. There's a site called the Prevention Project. And so you have to read very carefully what these people say and what they write. They claim to be aimed at helping children. They post quotes. I've got a quote here. It's kind of reminiscent of like testimonials from, gay youth that are struggling. They're struggling. Like, under headlines of, well, everybody needs support. Here's I'm reading directly from this site. John was suicidal. He'd been bullied by trolls on social media for most of his life for being different. The bullies were primarily people who claimed, based on their religion and their beliefs, that John was going to hell and deserved to die. They described how they would kill him on his Twitter page, and people supported their hate. Desperate for help, John sought treatment for his shame, depression, and suicidality. Although he was scared to share about himself with a stranger, he felt desperate for help, as he had no desire to harm anyone, ever. Once he shared about his attraction to children, his therapist told him, "I don't treat sex offenders." Do you see? He's a victim. He's the victim. This is the coming trend. This is what's happening. I don't know if you're on Twitter. This is going to be my last story, by the way, that I want to make you aware of. And obviously I didn't get to the SOTU. This is coming. This is a thing. This is a movement. There are blogs extant now, I don't know if you go to Tumblr, that are already showing support for MAPS, claiming that they really do need to be part of the LGBT community. They're seeking to break that barrier. Once they break that barrier, they are in, because just as the inclusive LGBT community, people demand not just tolerance, but they demand advocacy of everything LGBT plus. Once they get in there, in that, they're in. They really are in. And norming and streamlining will occur. They know that. They very well know that. They're trying already to create, swear to God, they're trying already to create safe spaces, okay, for these minor attracted persons, or MAPS. There's a blog called Pedophiles About Pedophilia. And that, like a lot of the people that were on Absolute Zero United, that's a conglomeration and a collection of weepy sob stories of marginalized pedophiles in pretty colors, and they're happy people, and they're claiming that they mean no harm, and they want to be loved just like everybody else. And the headlines, I found a headline. There's a headline that goes like, "Why pedophilia and pedophiles are not a risk to children." Digest that. How do you think that affected me as a detective who worked cases against these people? Let me tell you what. Except for one case in robbery where I got 853 years. For a while, that was a record in the state of California for years that I acquired on a suspect. That was my case in robbery. And Dan Minter. I got more time for my suspects in child abuse than I ever did when I worked homicide. And I'm proud of that. I am incredibly proud of that fact. So, why pedophilia and pedophiles are not a risk to children? Do you know how my blood boils when I have to read something like that? Growing up a pedophile, it's mainstream. And how I came out as an anti-contact pedophile to the woman I love. Because I'm the victim here. So, trust me when I tell you it's this. It's about rebranding. This is what MAPS want. This is now. This is here. This is in your community. This is in your neighborhood. This is in your state, your town. Don't bury your head. And I leave you with this tonight so that you're clued in to reality and listen to the conversations being held around you. Open your eyes. Don't let this happen. They're not the victims. They want to be rebranded. They want to be mainstreamed. They want to be accepted. And then, trust me, they want to get into the category of active advocacy. And they're going to use whatever politically correct name or euphemism to soften things as they possibly can. Because the next step, trust me, the very next step is normalizing pedophilia.
Monsieur has unlocked!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. If you want to contact me, you can find me on Twitter at BZEP, B-Z-E-P. My blog, bloviatingzeppelin.net. My original music is by Possessed Tranquility. You can find them at reverbnation.com. Promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and also by the Boeing Company. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And also by the Pratt & Whitney Company, providing thrust you can trust. Tiaras are, of course, as per normal, by My Little Pony. Thanks, big thanks, huge thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team, with whom I will most def be consorting in less than an hour. Thanks you. Thanks to you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, for listening live tonight. Thanks for being in chat. Thanks to everybody in chat. A ton of people in chat. It was a great chat room tonight. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening in podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great, great weekend. See you next Tuesday. God bless. Take care. Be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy.
Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.